This is my second story about Skinwalker Ranch, about some wild horses, or whatever they might have been, but this goes back to, I want to say it's either late 2015, it actually might have been earlier 2016, I think, I'm not real certain, right around those dates, but a friend and I were transporting campers again, and I think we made it to Salt Lake City, and since we were over there, we were like, well, I guess we're going to go to the ranch again and check it out, since it's always discuss it, and been on several other adventures and things. I might get to those stories later, but we made our way to Skinwalker Ranch, the area there, and my friend had talked to some realtor out there he knew, who was on the same TV show he was. We got permission from the realtor lady to park our trucks at this property exactly 1 mile north of Homestead 2, or the old Homestead they call it. And I looked on Google, it's now labeled as Watcher's Lodge. I guess that must be a new thing. Everybody's taken off with all sorts of new things out there since the TV show came out. Trying to get as much money as they can, any way they can out there. It kind of sucks they commercialized it and took all the realness out of it, I feel. Anyway, we parked our trucks there behind that little trailer house. There's also like a little old RV parked on the property on the other side of it, for reference if you're looking for it. We were, like I said, we dropped off campers in Salt Lake City, and then we find vehicles to haul back. And we just so happened to find 2 trucks from like I think it was like a power or gas company right in Vernal, 2 white trucks. So we had those on our trucks, and then we headed out to that property and parked. My buddy got the idea, let's take one of those gas trucks, and we can use that to cruise around in and check out, do some sightseeing. We were there for about, I'd say 2 days, this day and the next. So we did a little sightseeing all over. We found some cool abandoned house. I want to say it was somewhere out by Randlett. I remember taking the white truck out. It was some gravel road down some wash creek, and we did some walking up, and it was a really cool picture of an old abandoned house. Almost looks like a painting. And then we did back to, I think it was US 40 there, right north of, on the north side of Bottle Hollow Lake there. There's a little antique store. He knew the lady that owned it. We went in, talked to her for a while, basically did a lot of sightseeing, and now it's a bar. There's a picture of that. Then we met up with the realtor lady later that day, and she took us out looking at some property. So my friend said he was interested in buying some property out there. But what we did is we went out to this, I don't know, it was like a cliffside, pretty mountainous rocks. Climbed up and down them for quite a while. We were just having fun. And this mountain rock formation, or it's like basically the same thing that goes on the north side of Skinwalker Ranch, the big mountain rock face cliffside. There was another one of them, but it was several miles away. I don't remember the exact location of it. All I have is this picture of our vehicles there. And once you're up on all these rocks, you're quite a ways up, and you're looking down on this field that probably goes out a couple miles at least, and way out you could see horses, and she told us that they were wild horses. That was about, I'd say, a quarter mile away, maybe just a little farther. The horses knew we were there, and you could hear one of the horses, you could hear it snorting, and sound carried really well out there. Like, voices probably carried a good long distance. You could hear someone talking several hundred feet away like they were right there. But these horses, one of them snorted and stomping. You could hear it making noise, and she asked us if we heard that, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, he knows we're here, and he's protecting herd. It's the stud, the male. They're very protective of their herd. So, noted. Yep. Anyway, realized that we kept climbing around the rocks for quite a while, and then we made our way back into town. Did some more sightseeing. Seen this Indian memorial they have right up there on 40. We went over to just across the gravel road where we drove my other truck down, kind of north of the property we were on, and south of 40 there. You can go off to the side of it. There's a rock plain, like a cliffside. You can look down, see everything, the valley, the creek, and this is where I seen this animal. So he asked me if I had my phone because he didn't have his, and I'm like, yeah. So I whipped out my iPhone 5 real quick and took a picture of this animal. We didn't know what it was. It had, when it walked, it had like a hunched back and kind of hobbled like a ferret does. I'm like, I don't know what it was, but I took a picture of it. Not the greatest picture, but it was later confirmed by somebody else that lived out there that it was a badger. Nothing else. Pretty popular or common for that area. So move on to later that evening. I think we went out to eat before that, but then we made it back to the property. Anyway, we're back to where we parked our trucks. It's dusk now, and we're getting ready to set out on foot across the field. Jump the gate there at that property. There's barbed wire fence around there and some really old brush we had to hike through. It was pretty rough. I don't think we could walk straight south to the ranch. If you look at a map, it goes 1 mile straight down south is the old homestead. I want to say we hiked more east and then kind of came back down around because there's a lot of, it's a pretty rock formation area, small rolling hills up and down, rocks and little valleys and stuff up there. So we made it to the ridge, Werewolf Ridge, the big rock hiding spot where we overlook and see the ranch. Did a lot of looking around the cliffside there just as it got dark before the sun went all the way down. Just basically looking to see if anything, seeing what's there. Didn't see anything at all. Went to the ridge, back to that rock, that's Werewolf Ridge. I don't know if the whole ridge is called that or just that little rock area where he hides behind, but we didn't see anything at all. Nothing out of the ordinary that night at all. I would say it's probably about 10 o'clock, maybe a little later. We stood at that rock, looked down on the valley for quite some time. Didn't see anything. Now we're walking back. We're walking back up straight north a little bit, and then we kind of curved back over around the rocky formation and all that stuff. We're about halfway, roughly. I don't know, we're in some kind of a valley area where you, on each side of you, about 50 feet away, there's hills that go up on each side. And I think it was light enough where the moon was, you could see better than normal. You could see all right. So, and I had started talking about commenting on, like, man, those horses we saw earlier, it would suck if we came across something like that, you know. Just thinking back to how territorial that horse was, and he was pretty mean. So, anyway, just making small talk out loud on our way back, and within a minute or two, out of nowhere, a stampede right towards us. More than one horse for sure. It was, I guesstimate, 2 to 4. It was, you could tell there was multiple there. He had you could hear the hooves hitting the ground. You could hear the snorting as they're racing, and you could actually feel the ground. Like it was a 2-second enough to trip our reflex flight mode, and we both dove out of the way, like to the side, and like instantly turned our flashlights on, and there was absolutely nothing. Like no dust, no like I said, we were in this little valley where it's not like we were in an open field where something could have raced through and raced out of the area. I mean, if there was something there, it was boxed in by these hills on each side, and it didn't go behind us, and it didn't come from in front of us, and there was nothing there. Like, and there never was anything there. It was, I don't know, it was odd. My friend just starts laughing, and he says, "I told you not to talk about stuff out loud like that. The trickster is listening." And he had told me prior to this that he encountered a similar experience where he was there, one of his first times there. He was walking like that, and over the hill he seen red and blue flashing lights, and he knew he wasn't supposed to be there, so he was paranoid and dove to the side, and thinking the cops were there, and he heard somebody talking on a loudspeaker, but he said it wasn't a legible voice. It was like a just like he couldn't make out anything. And then he said he waited for a while, and he got up and looked up there, and there was nothing there. So same similar psychological trickery stuff. So we end up making it back to the trucks. No further incidents, and nothing else happened. It was the end of that trip. And I have way more questions and answers, and this really perplexed me here. I was like, not knowing any idea what just happened, because, it was both of us who seen and heard it, and felt it. Actually, we didn't see it, we heard and felt it. And I did a lot of research, and I don't know. It's like if you look at the people that worked out there when Bigelow was working out there, all the different fields and backgrounds they were in, and why was the place guarded by the Department of Defense for so long, even after all the research ended, for the public safety, was it? I don't know. Well, and why is it now so no care in the world, and I guess it's safe for everybody right now for having a TV show out there. But I don't know. My little theory I had about, I'm guessing they were working on something out there to some kind of sensory manipulation device or whatever. That, I mean, if you can take the impulses that flow in your nerves, when you touch something, and that signal that goes through your nerves to your brain and lets you know that you felt something, whether it was hot or cold or whatever. Or same with your eyes, whatever the signal and whatever frequency it is that goes to when you smell something, whatever frequency travels along your nervous system. That's way beyond anything I know. But I mean, if someone was able to duplicate that, and then they can use that and then transfer it to you somehow, like, I don't know, laser, radiation, microwave beams, or some kind of sound frequency. And then if they had that on a satellite, man, just think of the possibilities. Like, I don't know, you could make the dog bark. And having that power to do that to people, I mean, you could make anybody do anything. I mean, if you get someone scared enough and then make them think something's after them, you could make them pull out a gun and start just shooting at somebody randomly, and their mind's actually experiencing something completely different because it's manipulated. Maybe they see all these aliens or creatures coming at them, and they're in fight mode, shooting at all this stuff, and then everybody else is sitting back looking, and then wonder why this normal person just decided to get up one day and start shooting up a movie theater, or just go on some mass shooting. And then you see these people's mugshots in these mass shootings, and they just look like they have no idea what just happened. They're just totally clueless. Some of them are probably crazy, and some aren't. But makes you wonder if what I saw or what I experienced, if they can make me feel that, and it's not just me. It was two people heard and felt the same thing. I don't know. People ask about hitchhikers. Does it hitchhike back with you when you leave Skinwalker Ranch? And this is like a year later, I want to say. Me and two other friends went out there, and I want to say the new security was set up, so we didn't even go near the ridge. We just kind of walked up to the ridge. No, we didn't even walk up to the ridge. We walked around behind, and we heard dogs barking, and yeah, it's probably not. Let's just go back. So we didn't even go really out there. We walked back and stayed at our trucks. That truck stopped just down the road. Nothing, didn't see anything, nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't until made it back home to Wisconsin, and I remember dropping off a vehicle about 30 miles north of the city where I live, and coming home. I parked my truck at this other place where I parked it. I got out, and as soon as I was walking across the driveway, I had this feeling like something's wrong, like a really, really bad gut feeling, like almost like a fear, I'm pretty emotionless, nothing really bothers me too much. Well, this is just weird, like a total weird feeling. I don't know, couldn't explain it. And it stayed with me, and I went to a friend's shop, and I don't even know how to describe it. It was so odd, the way my friends were acting there was kind of. Also went to the grocery store later that night, and it was a really weird experience. Just walking up and down the grocery store, my mood and the way I felt changed, fast. As I was walking, all of a sudden I get this giddy feeling, wow, yeah, it's happy-go-luck. Then all of a sudden the next, it's okay, I feel really serious, need to get this done, and then it's you keep going, and it's just a barrage of different emotions. I don't know how to explain it. And then I went home. I was doing some more research and thinking about this. I wonder if, they say the humans have more brain power than they can actually use, and that we once or may have or could have the power to communicate what other people are feeling. You could transpose that onto other people. So I was wondering if whatever I was exposed to out there, or if something came back with me that allowed me to feel how other people feel. I figured it out, that what I was actually feeling was the emotions of whoever I was near. And it turned out to be true, because my friends at the shop, their issue, his issue, whatever, I was just spot on. In the grocery store, it would make sense if you're around that many different people. Is that what it was, or maybe did I just lose my mind or something? But it's never had anything like that, and it was so unexplainable till later that night. I dove in just hardcore research in psychological warfare and psychotronic warfare and everything the government's been working on for the past 50 plus years. It's kind of crazy, and it didn't seem that out of the ordinary. And as soon as I basically realized what I was feeling, I pretty much woke up the next day, did a lot more research on it, and then it basically faded away. And I want to say later that day, by the time I found out what I thought it was or could have been, it was gone. So, and then I was just wow, that was the craziest. If that's how maybe psychics work, maybe they have the normal ability to do that, where most people don't. And then, so, yeah, whatever I experienced out there, if that's what it was, if that's what people are referring to hitchhikers, and and say they see something or hear something or feel a certain way. Maybe it's just them sensing stuff, something that's always there and was there, and they just didn't have the ability to sense it at the time. Now that maybe going out there somehow hypersensitized their brain or feelings or whatever, now they have a little bit more, they're more sensitive to things. And I have absolutely no idea. Still don't know. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling. And then you hear a lot of the people making up stories or telling stories that happened out there, and that, you know, I'd question some of them too, you know, like saying like some fog rolled in and some animal appeared, and then you don't, well, now this brings, what happened to me brings everything to a whole new level. Like, now, did what they actually see and experience happen, or were they somehow manipulated too, so that what they experienced was actually, their brain actually seen it and it was real to their brain, because the signal that their eyes and whatnot was manipulated. So someone sees a shadow, I mean, that could have been just a somehow something affecting your optical nerve, bam, zapping you like where you thought it wasn't there. Like, I started looking and asking around for anybody that's seen anything, if they ever seen, did anything leave a secondary signature, you know, like, so if you've seen, say you've seen some creature appear and walk through some grass or some tree, like, did it actually did its footprint mat the grass down, or did it leave a track, or did it break a twig, or is it basically 100% undetectable? And if it was undetectable, then it was probably just not real. It was just a manipulation of your senses. And I wonder if that's what a lot of the things people see or experience are. And you can't tell them they didn't see that or experience it, because they 100% believe they did, because their eyes don't lie, their ears don't lie. But if the signal that was sent to you was bogus and you didn't know it, then we're left with what we think is people making up stories. And I want to say a lot of people are probably discredited because of it. And I guess the more you're out there and the more you see, the more you're exposed to whatever, either it's something out there that's creating this signal and happening to you, or it's somebody. I don't know. I mean, I want to say that the whole Bigelow thing sounds like they were working on something out there. And my whole theory on the place is that he is a government contractor, and he was either developing, testing, or working on some kind of device or thing like this. And then once you got it operational, you have to test it. So what better way to test it than have the best of the best people throughout the country that specialize in every field come out, and then you tell them they're actually there to investigate a paranormal something or other and see if they can detect anything on that level, not telling them what you're actually doing. So, because if you told them what you were actually doing, then whether they can detect it or not is biased, basically. So if they have no idea what's going on out there, and you test your device out there and do some stuff, and they have absolutely no idea what's going on, they have no way to detect it, and what they see and experienced they believe was 100% real, then if they were testing something like this out there, it was 100% successful. No questions. And it works. And I just can't stop thinking about like the mass shootings and like the movie theater shooting and the other crazy things that go on. That, like, imagine if this stuff works on me and other people that, you know, are normal or somewhat normal. And now if you use that on somebody that's already has mental problems or emotional issues and severely depressed people, now you do it to them, man, you could drive them nuts. You could make them go kill anybody. You could make them think there's people watching them. You could make them think there's anything. And you keep doing little bits here and there, teasing them and poking them, and it's like you're poking them as they're going along. They're just getting scared and scared, and you wonder why these people that have never been, you know, like gun happy people, and then all of a sudden they're out buying like all these guns. Like, what's this guy doing? You know, it's like then he thinks aliens are coming, or it's like he got the. It's could be just all a manipulation of your senses, and somebody's gotten really good at it. I mean, if you look at technology today, I mean, we can hold a supercomputer in the palm of our hand. So, I mean, imagine what psychotronic warfare they were working on back in the 50s has developed into today. And that's what I think a lot of it is out there. Or one of my theories. I don't actually think there's anything think of anything out there because I have absolutely no idea. But it's a good possibility that a lot of it's that or something to do with it. Or maybe there's something else creating the same device thing out there that, of course, dogs can even sense things that we can't. So I have no idea what she's barking at, so I'm going to leave that with, it's pretty much the end of my story, and that is my last Skinwalker story. I've